Rev Ryan chose an excerpt from Song of Myself by Walt Whitman for our reading today. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air, born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health, begin, hoping to seize not till death. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance of myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The smoke of my own breath, echoes, ripples, buzzed whispers, love root, silk thread, crotch and vine. My respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing of blood and air through my lungs. The sniff of green leaves and dry leaves, and of the shore and dark-colored sea rocks, and of hay in the barn. The sound of the belched words of my voice loosed to the eddies of the wind. A few light kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms, the play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag. The delight alone or in the rush of the streets or along the fields and hillsides. The feeling of health, the full noon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Stop this day and night with me, and you shall possess the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides and filter them from yourself.
I love Whitman. You shall not feed on the specter of books. We're going to shut the books this morning, and in lieu of the story for all ages, which we actually, thanks to Hazel, we've got all ages today. So that's really exciting. But we're going to shut the books and close your eyes. And I want each of you to return to your childhood. Take a deep breath in. And we're just going to focus on our story through the ages. So remember what it was like to be a little kid. What is your authentic story? What was written on your heart? And exhale. Take another deep breath into your teen years, your loves, your passions. And now exhale out. What false stories were you telling about yourself in the past? Deep breath in. You graduated high school, maybe started college, found a family. What story are others reading about yourself? What are you narrating? And exhale out once again, any of those false stories, any of those insufficiencies. And a deep breath in, returning to the present. What story did you tell yourself when you opened your eyes this morning? And with that, open your eyes. And take a deep breath in, and we're going to raise our hands up and stretch to the sky and out. And we're preparing ourselves for something awesome because now we're going to hug ourselves. So deep breath in and squeeze so tight. Oh, your authentic story is one of love and beauty. And I wish you guys could just see the light kind of shining off of each of you from the stance that I have up here. And with that, we will dive into today's reflection. There once was a young and aspiring Sufi monk who, saddened by the state of suffering in the world, enrolled in a monastery, hoping to find more beauty in life. He was an overachiever by nature who would wake up early every morning to complete his chores before sitting in silent meditation for hours on end until dinner was served and he could converse with the other monks. Day in, day out, same disciplined schedule, always searching for something more. "Teacher," he said one evening as the other monks were discussing the beauty of an otherwise dreary day, "how is it that all the rest of the monks see such magnificence in a mundane sky when all I see are clouds and gray?" The elder monk listened patiently as he looked around the room at the smiling faces of the more jovial monks, an army of robe-clad residents with dimples on their cheeks and wrinkles around their eyes from years of smiling in the sun. "My child," the elder finally spoke, "you will never be able to see the beauty around you until you first learn to see the beauty within you." Anyone struggling as of late to see beauty in the warring world around us? A world of violence, pollution, political insurrection, and dreary January skies? Anyone find themselves depressed upon turning on the nightly news or flipping open the Saturday morning paper? That is, if anybody reads the papers anymore. Well, I do not read the papers. I find myself depressed sometimes. And if you're anything like me, that may mean that it is time to consider redirecting your search for beauty beyond by first exploring the beauty within. For instance, what do you say to yourself when you look in the mirror first thing in the morning? When you step onto a scale or into your boss's office? Not good enough, not attractive enough, not slender enough, not smart enough, yada, yada, yada. And for so long as we feel this way, the sad reality is that it's true. We will never be good enough, attractive enough, smart enough, or loved enough, not without doing the work. And yes, self-love and self-acceptance are incredibly hard work. We all want to be loved. Even the most cynical of citizens, regardless of whether we reciprocate the emotion or not. Our society's addiction to social media likes and online dating apps proves this. Feeling loved makes us feel supported, wanted, safe, and important. And there's a scientific reason for this. Being loved triggers an instantaneous dopamine response that energizes and invigorates an otherwise sleepy soul. In other words, you actually get a physiologically and socially addictive adrenaline buzz from a new Facebook friend request. Unfortunately, without love of oneself, we will never feel loved enough by the world because the dopamine rush that we get from an Instagram like, a quick hug, or a smile on the street is fast, fleeting, and always leaves us craving more. However, whereas instances of outward love cause a dopamine or adrenaline rush, self-love is more closely related to a sustaining chemical known as serotonin. Take, for instance, the three types of love written into the Greek New Testament of the Bible's New Testament. The first two, eros and philo, or romantic and brotherly, think erotic and Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, are dopamine love drugs. They provide a quick, feel-good fix. They are outward examples of love. And whereas they are good and important, they are often conditional and rarely sustaining. Agape love, on the other hand, the love that the Apostle Paul spoke about in that letter to the Corinthians that we opened our service with, is a serotonin kind of love. It's an inward and sustaining love. Some might even define it as divine. In Paul's words, it is a patient love, a kind love, a love without envy. It is a love not steeped in pride, but in unadulterated acceptance. And now I know what you're thinking, Rev Ryan, how can love be both inward as well as divine? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's both inward and divine because deep within your core, you are divine. Yes, we are divine. Within our being, we possess the spirit of the Buddha, the essence of Allah, the grandeur of God, and the Hara of Krishna, in addition to our own unique personality and persona, of course. Yes, you, or should I say I, or we, are divine. Later Greeks understood this, and in turn, they named another type of love in addition to the three biblical threads. Philatia, which the ancients saw as a healthy, necessary love of oneself, was what in turn made it possible to give and receive the love of another. Philatia is the love spoken of in another popular passage from the Greek New Testament. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, the crowds asked Jesus, "What is the greatest commandment?" To which he replies, "Love God, agape, with all your heart. And secondly, love your neighbor as yourself, philatia." Yet it starts with us. We cannot love outwardly or upwardly until we figure out how to love inwardly. And we cannot love inwardly before recognizing and accepting our own divinity. Let's look at it this way. The prolific Persian poet Khalil Gibran spoke often of love and marriage. And in one of his more famous metaphors, he spoke of how the most beautiful cathedrals are held up by individual columns. What did he mean? Well, that you cannot build a steady structure on a single unbalanced entity, but that each column must first stand sturdy and steady on its own. In other words, you cannot build a loving relationship with another, with your maker, or with the world, without first addressing the relationship that you have with yourself. The singular killer self-love lacking approach to a relationship is the cornerstone of what therapists call codependency. I need you to love me in order to love myself. It is the opposite of Jesus' second greatest commandments from the Gospel of Matthew, to love oneself as an other. Moreover, this conditional clause usually comes with conditions of its own. I need you to love me, and in order for you to love me, I need to be prettier, more successful, funnier, smarter, stronger, etc., etc., etc. I'll let you fill in the blank as it applies to you. And with every condition that we come up with, what we are really doing is stacking weight upon tipsy-turvy, one-pillared cathedral in an attempt to grow closer to the divine without recognizing our own divinity. Yes, all the while we strive to earn the love of the world and its creator, the spirit of the divine lies hidden within. And any outward conditional or superficial love we receive as a result will only leave us craving more. So, how do I love myself when I feel unlovable? Good question, to which we turn to Mr. Walt Whitman. I celebrate myself. I love the way Whitman starts off today's reading. I celebrate myself and I sing of myself. And what I assume, you should assume, because every atom of me is also an atom of you. Whereas codependency starts with celebrating and singing of the other in an attempt to earn reciprocation, Whitman starts with himself. Because of this, he is able to see his relationship with the world in an interdependent, build one another up kind of way, not a codependent, cast your weight on the other kind of way. This triggers a sense of oneness in which every atom of our individual being belongs to the greater whole, while all the while we are responsible for loving and tending to our own unique souls. In this sense, the Eastern traditions have a little better grasp on things than the Western ones. There is a strong emphasis on oneness outside of sameness throughout Buddhist, Taoist, or Eastern philosophies. It is why they start their meditations with the one unified sound, Om, and end with the blessing, Namaste. Let the light in me brighten the light in you. In this sense, it's not about comparing or earning, for as it's been said, there is no comparison between the sun and the moon. There is only the recognition that they each brighten the sky in their own time and way. In that light, pardon the pun, our job is not simply to love ourselves, but to love ourselves in a humble and honest way that encourages and empowers others to love themselves as well. After all, in carrying on with the light metaphor, I'd be amiss not to acknowledge that the flame of a candle is unique in that it can light an infinite number of others without ever shortening its own existence. The truth is that you can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. But that person is not going to be found anywhere. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserves love and affection. So in the words of Walt Whitman and Dr. Seuss, celebrate yourself, because today you are you. And I know this is true, that there is no one alive who is youer than you. Now I could close here and send you on your merry way, and the hungry football fans among might welcome that. But I don't just want to throw words at you with no true call to action. For as the Apostle Paul said to the church of Corinth in our reading today, if I speak in tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and cannot fathom all mysteries and knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but I don't have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing. So yes, today's message needs to be more than a mere monologue with a few eloquent one-liners. It needs to be a catalyst for change. Why? Because there's still division, separation, destruction, and so forth in the world. There's still hate. There's still violence. There is still unfairness. People are still sleeping on the streets. Wars continue to be waged. Politicians continue to bicker, and children continue to go to bed hungry. In other words, there's still a whole lot of work to do. But it starts within. For again, if we give all our possessions to the poor but have not loved, nothing is gained. If we have faith enough to move mountains, but do not have it in our own being, we are always left wanting. If we walk around with outstretched arms but fail to wrap them around ourselves in love, we remain unhugged and empty. So today I implore you to love yourself so much that the cup overflows to nourish the thirsty, to hug yourself so tightly that you warm all those who might be shivering on the streets in our presence as we go about the day, to practice peace so passionately that you evoke an international ceasefire. Today, I implore you to love yourself so much that you heal the world around you. Not necessarily like yourself, that'll come. We have days. But to truly, deeply, and passionately love the you that is you. Because we've already proven that it is truer than true, that there is nobody alive who is youer than you. So what does that look like in your life? What is left when all the letters before or after your name disappear? What happens when we eradicate our accolades, retire from or leave our job, deplete our savings or delete our Facebook accounts? What happens when we strip away all the aspects of life and the ego and meet our true naked self face to face? Can we love that creature? If so, how? And if not, why? What's holding you back? If you can't answer those questions, then you have homework to do this week. And yes, there will be a pop quiz next Sunday. Self-love is difficult. However, I want to emphasize that it is worth the work it entails because it opens the door for us then to share the love with others in every condition and non-conditional type of way. So with that, let me close by reiterating that I love all of you, as well as the reflection I see in the window in the back of the sanctuary. I lied, I don't actually see a reflection in there. It's too bright outside. Nobody thought I was going to say bright outside this weekend. Yes. So as we go about our day, remember, what is the authentic story of yourself? What are you telling yourself? And how can you rewrite that story to be a beautiful fairy tale with a happy ending? With that, let us continue our service today.